What up, y'all? It's Eric Bam with Buy Box Realty, and I get this question all the time, especially this time of year. And that is, should I buy a house right now with the interest rates being high, and should I just wait till a better time? And the short answer is emphatically yes. If it's in the cards for you, if you can make it happen, by all means do so. I get it. Rates are high, inventory's tight, but if you can make it happen, I can give you 5 reasons why buying a home right now is probably a good idea. So if you remember, there are a bunch of homeowners, myself included, who refinanced all our properties a few years ago and got those great 2 and 3% interest rates. Those guys are not moving. They can't afford to move. They can't afford to find some other place that has 6 and 7 and 8% interest rates, so they get less house for their dollar. There's no way they're going anytime soon, so you can't count on those houses entering the market. Another issue are investors. In Metro Atlanta alone, about, let's say, 30 to 40% of the homes that are priced at about $250 to $400, which is right where entry-level homes tend to be here in this area, are owned by investors. Mostly by the top 3, but there's a bunch of other investors that are out there buying houses up cash. When they buy these houses, a lot of times they're not flipping them. They're putting them into a portfolio, and they're holding on to them for 20 to 25 years, meaning effectively they're never going to go back on the market within a generation or so. So those houses are also off the market. So another issue are interest rates. They're pretty high right now. And so if you qualified for a lower interest rate some years ago and you were qualified for $350,000, that buying power might be $250 to $300, and I can't foresee it getting any better anytime soon. That means that at $250, it's harder to find a reasonable house that qualifies for an FHA or a VA loan, meaning that it's in good repair. So the higher interest rate, the lower your buying power is. The next thing is real estate appreciation. Now, that's a good thing if you already own a home, but if you are waiting out, even if you wait for a lower interest rate, the appreciation happens whether you own a home or not. In Atlanta, that can be anywhere from 4 to 7% year over year. So that means that a house that's $350,000 now might be $385,000 in a year or two. So again, effectively putting it out of reach for you. So again, trying to wait out the market, the appreciation happens one way or the other. Now, another reason why buying a property makes sense is because, honestly, renting kind of sucks. There are obviously some certain situations where renting makes sense. You just move to an area, you don't know where you want to live. You have to be downtown or in a certain area for a limited or a finite amount of time. Then renting, I understand functionally, I get it. But long-term, renting, you are paying off someone else's asset. And sometimes you get great landlords, sometimes you get people who have no business in the landlording business at all, and they don't fix anything. They're not responsive to your requests. Also, they have the right to raise that rent however much they think that you can pay. And if you can't pay the rent, you gotta get out. And they also have the right at any given time, depending on how your lease is written, to sell the asset that you're living in. You could live there 5-10 years and they decide, you know what, I want to take my profit, sell the house, and if you can't afford to buy it, you've got to go. So the reality is that you are beholden to someone else, and even if you do find a great place and you rent it for 15-20 years, you have likely just made someone else a whole bunch of money because they're collecting your rent and you paid off their mortgage. So again, I'm all for building wealth. I'm not all for building other people's wealth. So this is something to think about. Again, I understand functionality in terms of there's some situations where renting makes sense, but for a long-term plan, I'm not really for paying off other people's assets. So bottom line, wealth is in ownership. And not all millionaires, not all people of means build their wealth through real estate, but a lot of them keep it in real estate. So it's something that we're not making any more of. There's a finite amount of land in this country. And if you get an opportunity to get a piece of it and buy some and invest in it for you and your family, then I would highly suggest that if it's in the cards for you, to make it happen. Because again, in the next 5 to 10 years, especially, we're talking about Metro Atlanta specifically, you may not be able to find anything reasonable or within an hour and a half of the city. So just my humble opinion, if you had an opportunity to buy a home, I would absolutely do so.